Hello. So, Dolan Darkus just released a video kind of showing how bad the Pokemon situation has gotten. And oh god, genuinely, it's getting really, really bad. So, let's get into it. We got our safety helmets on. The shitstorms are coming. Right now, Pokemon is absolutely exploding. And I'm not just talking about the characters and the cards and things like that. Not anything to do with Pokemon at all. To the point where even the stands from these 30th anniversary collection products are selling for ridiculous amounts of money and being scalped. Pop-Tarts are selling, uh, and people are trying to hoard them. There is a huge queue for Korean Magikarp, a common card, a Korean Magikarp. People are queuing for it because of the exclusivity of this card. I gotta be frank, I really think Pokemon has to die in order for this to stop. And of course it won't. Either that or people will find something else to be fascinated by. If the enjoyment of the cards, the games, everything like that was innocent, I would be hesitant to say that. I would be more than likely saying that Pokemon should live on forever and we should all enjoy it. We should all enjoy our fair share. No, I'm not saying that. I'm saying now I think the Pokemon card game and in general, more broadly, Pokemon as a concept has to die significantly in order to actually survive. Let me explain. When something becomes too big, it will create the illusion that it is too big to fail, that it is too large to actually possibly weaken, that there is inherent intrinsic value to these objects, to these pieces of merch, to all of these things that will hold forever, as if they are something precious, something immutable, something that will only go up with time. But that isn't true. The value of these cards, the value of these products, these Pokemon Pop-Tarts, these Pokemon toilet papers, these Pokemon stands, all of it will depend upon demand. You see, people have an idea in their head that because they are supplying it, there will always be a demand for it. That's not true. So long as people are investing, quote unquote investing, in these products, so long as people are trying to buy them, then there will be a demand and the cycle will continue forever and the price will go up and up and up until inevitably there is a collapse. It's happened with Pokemon cards before, it's happened with other Pokemon products before. We've even seen it with Pokemon games. Good luck getting a copy of Pokemon Gold or Pokemon Silver. You really can't get one for under £400, £500. Or about $600, depending where you look. So this isn't new. This isn't a new phenomenon. Pokemon is a big franchise. It is a very, very big franchise, quite frankly. We're talking on the order of billions. In a larger, more general sense, people right now are entirely focused on money, on what they can extract from this megalith of a project that is Pokemon. If they can sell you a collector's edition of the Game Boy Advance with Pikachu on it, or Game Boy Color rather, any of them really, for £6,000, they'll do it. If they can sell you Pokemon toilet paper, they'll do it. And so long as people continue to fall for this idea that there is unlimited money in Pokemon, it will continue forever. And to a certain extent, there is value in Pokemon. There is actually something intrinsic within these products that does hold over time. It's the art, it's the character of these things. They represent, for many people, a more innocent time. And for more about that, look at my video, Why We Collect Things. But overall, there is a general idea that these characters are inherently worth something. That is what is being exploited right now. But for the most part, it isn't the rarity factor. It is purely exploitability of a niche. And this niche is Pokemon. There are a limited number of Pokemon fans across the world, but there are enough of us, and I do include myself in that we are more likely to look at these products and go, yeah, that has some value. In other words, the people who are doing this are directly influenced by the kinds of people we don't like. The people who are parasites on the hobby. Because again, scalpers are involved. And whenever scalpers are involved, there is a big fat grub in the middle of the situation, sucking dry the goodness of the hobby. And when that happens, we all suffer. We all find it more difficult to get the products that we want. Because the market is screaming right now, oh my god, these products are worth so much money. And there's nobody to disagree with that. Everybody is saying, yes, it is worth that much money. And perhaps some of these items sell. More than likely, most of them won't. You can't charge $200 for some Pop-Tarts. They're bloody Pop-Tarts. They expire. They don't hold intrinsic value. You can't rip and ship a pack of Pop-Tarts, though I would quite happily watch that, just for the humour factor. What you can do, however, is map this behaviour to a kind of illness that has overcome our society, which is the obsession with the external, with things that are unusual, that are quirky. And Pokemon falls very safely in that net. Pokemon is somewhat weird, somewhat nerdy, but ubiquitous and innocent. And that's what attracts them. That's what attracts all of these people who are making the lives of collectors hell. Because it's safe, it's comfortable, it's warm, it's nostalgic, and it's entirely exploitable. And this behaviour will continue until we decide that we don't want it anymore. Or until the Pokemon Company print ridiculous amounts of cards, print machine go brr, and all of a sudden, no one cares about the vast majority of cards. Unfortunately, that's the only solution. Either the Pokemon Company does as Steam has done with its Steam Deck controller, or Steam Machine controller, I'm not sure which one it is, and creates an order limit on their products. Encourages retailers to have order limits on their products, whether it's Pop-Tarts, toilet rolls, or whatever it is. In other words, in order to win this, the Pokemon Company's got to starve itself of income, at least for a little while, until the grubs stop getting so fat and greedy, because the fatter they get, the more hungry they get. The more hungry they get, the fatter they get, and the more they want. And the more damage that the brand gets, the more that the grubs are attracted to that meal. And they are parasitizing Pokemon. So in the end, the only people who lose, it's not Pokemon. It's not the Pokemon Company. It's not Game Freak. It's not any of them. The only people who lose is us, because they're making ridiculous amounts of money from all of this. They're making more money than we can imagine from this current hype train. And the longer that this goes on, they make even more. And they encourage this behavior. And make no mistake, they own the distribution centers. They are telling them to put the price up. We have a lot of evidence of that. They bought several distribution centers recently. So put all the pieces together, you get a situation where the Pokemon Company is going, well, we can outproduce enough of this product and make it scarce enough, make it interesting enough to be of general interest, but nobody's going to be able to get it. We will produce so much of it that we get fat, and who cares about the parasites? Who cares what happens to the product after it's done? After we've sold it to retailers. Resellers are permitted, resellers are allowed, and we don't care. Then you've got the reseller market, who is making a ridiculous amount of money as well. What is a cardboard stand is selling for £600? Well, the more that it works, the more that the system works, the more that they're encouraged to continue this behavior, the more likely more are going to come in and, like I say, engorge themselves. But the only way to actually survive this is, as I said, to stop thinking about money and think about the long-term life of your brand. Think about what it means to actually have a brand that is perennial, has lasted 30 years, is loved all across the world. And consider the fact that there is more to this than just simply making money. Your shareholders may be fat and happy. Your owners may be fat and happy. Everybody may be saying, good job, Pokemon, good job, you're doing so well, and you're keeping the Pikachu kids happy, and you're making it so that the fat whales are happy, and everybody's comfortable and happy. But you're doing it at the express damage of your own company. Pokemon won't last like this. And we see many companies go through huge peaks and troughs just like this, where they feed in and encourage the bubble. And then we get other situations, which I'll talk a little bit about, such as huge Pokemon buyouts. We know who did it. Not really super bothered about it, but buyouts of huge amounts of Pokemon product, spike the price up, make it so that it's more scarce, and as a result the price goes higher. Because the perceived value is a portion of the $2 million that was spent on that Pokemon product. Insane. But the more that happens, the more that the whole ecosystem of Pokemon gets put under pressure. To the point where the peach is going to explode. At this point, to use a James and the Giant Peach reference. Because you're pumping it too much. You're making the entire thing incredibly unsavory to your customers. And you're making it so that the only people who are able to actually make money from Pokemon are the ones who are either scalping or are exploiting the system. And at this point, there is no stopping it except to starve off the grubs. But we all know that's not going to happen. I was going to make a video about how excited I am for the 30th anniversary. Some genuinely incredible cards in there. And I still might, if things change. But fact of the matter is, right now, it's really, really not looking good. If they're taking stands and selling them for 600 plus, what does that say about the cards? The actual cardboard. What are they going to do to that? So, if anybody from the Pokemon Company is listening, stop thinking about your short-term profits. I don't give a shit about your short-term profits. I care about Pokemon. I care about this game that I grew up with, that my kids grew up with, that my sister grew up with, that everybody I know grew up with. Even my parents, they know what Pokemon is. Everybody knows Pikachu. They can point it out. There's Pikachu. I care about the long-term life of the franchise. And when you're pumping it this hard, it's not going to make it. The bubble will burst. And all of a sudden, you'll be stuck with fans who are disgruntled, pissed off. You've not released a good game in a long, long time, Pokemon. Or more specifically, Game Freak. And all of a sudden, you're left with nothing. So enjoy your profits. Give yourself a pat on the back. Here's a clap from me. But in the end, you're only screwing yourselves and your customers. Nothing lasts forever. Remember that.